Welcome back, everyone, to the Post Credits Podcast. It's been a while.
Good to be
I
back.
bet you thought we stopped, but no, we're back. And we're stronger than ever.
We definitely are. I miss doing this. We took a couple of weeks.
I know.
And,
Well, we had Mother's Day in 1 week. Because for those of you who haven't put it together, we normally record on Sundays. So yeah, we had Mother's Day 1 week. The week after that, I had the baptism. The week after that, you had the
Vegas.
Yeah,
Vegas. I went to Vegas. Yeah.
I went to Vegas. But now we're back.
We are. Yeah.
We're back.
I feel refreshed.
The garbage truck is still rolling downhill. It's on fire. You know, it's going.
Perfect metaphor for the show, by the way.
Perfect metaphor. Yeah. The madness. Let's resume the madness.
So the madness. Tell the audience what you mean by the madness. Why do we call this episode the madness today?
Well, folks, because today we're bringing the madness in the form of Mad Men and Mad Max.
Clever.
So what should we starting off with today, Joe?
Well, what's happening? What's happening in the world of TV and movies? Just a quick roundup of.
Quick roundup, of course. During the time we've been gone, Mad Men has ended.
Yeah, Mad Men did end.
Mad Men has ended. So again, we'll be talking about that. Game of Thrones is in full force, rolling.
Just some real quick hitters. I know I like to. I like to scoff sometimes at the amount of superhero talk that we have on this show. So, of course, let me open up the show by
superhero talk.
Yeah. Marvel just did a complete, I was going to say 360, but no, 180 is the correct term.
180 is a turnaround, 360 is a circle.
That's right.
Math.
I got a C- in math, not a C+. Just kind of backpedaling on Asa Butterfield. It seemed at one point that he was their guy, and now they're testing 6 other actors.
Yes, I've heard that in Atlanta, right?
Yes, on the Civil War set.
There's a lot going down in Atlanta right now, actually, with that, which is interesting. They're testing Spider-Man. They're filming Civil War, and right now, MomoCon is going on, which is in Atlanta. MomoCon.
What's that?
Big like nerd convention, pretty much.
Oh,
it's like a lesser San Diego Comic-Con.
I was gonna say, speaking of nerds, Combo Breaker tournament just went on in Atlanta too.
Yeah.
This past week. That's a Mortal Kombat tournament for anybody who doesn't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, a lot going down in Atlanta right now.
Let's see what else.
Place to be. ATL.
Yeah. Yes, ATL. Let's see what else is going on these days. Not too much.
No, it's well, at least again. I know you hate talking about the comic world has settled a little bit. You know,
it's settled, which is surprising since it feels like every day something else is coming out about this or that. Did you ever watch? Are you a David Lynch fan?
Yeah, he's okay.
David Lynch.
I'm not a super fan or anything, but I enjoy a good David Lynch film from now and then.
He had this series on ABC of all places, Twin Peaks. That's actually making a big comeback. It was like this kind of
did not know that was him. Heard of the show. Did not know that was him.
He was like an EP, I think, executive producer.
So pretty much producer name only.
Yeah. So, but it was his brainchild. It got. It's funny. The last episode of that show said, one of the characters said, "I'll see you again in 25 years." And sure enough, the show got picked up again 25 years later to the date.
To the date.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So we're gonna be seeing that. David Lynch and ABC. I don't know. David Lynch is a fucked up director if you haven't seen any of his stuff.
Speaking of ABC, here's something else interesting that caught my eye. I don't exactly know when it went down because it got by me, but it was something I read the other day. And this is interesting to me. Disney has acquired the rights to run Doctor Who episodes.
Oh, wow.
Coming in June, Disney is going to start airing reruns of Doctor Who on Disney XD.
That makes so much sense because Doctor Who, it's one of those shows kind of, I think, in the same vein as Game of Thrones is to you, where it's just, it's a ginormous intellectual property, right? Like, people go gaga over that. And I've seen a few episodes and I don't really like it, but I've always wondered, for such a big thing, how does that not run on an American network?
It does now. Well, at least the reruns do.
It's on BBC America technically, but that's not really,
No, I know. But no. So here's the thing that makes this interesting to me is this the opening, like the first step into Disney acquiring it, like just fully acquiring the property?
I don't know who owns the property now.
I don't know either.
But I don't
watch that show.
Yeah.
But again, I don't watch the show, but I am aware of it. I know it's a big deal.
I think it's to the point where it's such a big deal now that, I mean, even if ABC did, quote unquote acquire it, it's not going to really change things for it. I mean, it's not going to get, that much bigger just because it's such a huge phenomenon already.
Well, I think it would actually.
How so?
Because as you said, it's big right now. Yeah, but I mean, imagine putting the marketing power of the largest media corporation on the planet behind it.
That's a good point.
Like, yes, it's big now, but let's be honest, like, you don't really see any marketing for, like, sure, you can get, like, these niche Doctor Who shirts and whatever, go online, find them from these websites, but imagine just going into, Macy's or wherever, wherever you buy your clothes from. Hot Topic, of course, probably has some, but, even more, just seeing Doctor Who merch, Doctor Who toys.
Or more to the point, maybe seeing Doctor Who commercials in between Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or something like that.
NBA Finals, Doctor Who commercial.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's true. That's true, because ABC obviously is a huge corporation. Disney backs them.
Well, Disney owns them.
Yes. So that would be interesting. Again, I don't really care about Doctor Who.
I don't care either. I just thought it was something interesting. That's just the Disney empire. Just, again, right now it's nothing. Right now they've just acquired the rights to run the reruns. But I'm just saying it could be the first step in just expanding the Disney empire.
Who knows? Maybe we'll see Twin Peaks commercials.
Who knows? Well done. Well done.
What else? Anything else on the old noodle there? Full House is coming back.
No, I don't care.
Full House fan?
Yeah, no.
Never was.
No. I mean, it was I'm sure I watched more than my fair share of episodes as a kid, but I don't remember particularly caring about it or getting everything signed back. I saw it was coming back. I don't care.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Olsen twins have refused to come back.
As they should.
My advice is to just go get Elizabeth Olsen. Have her take
she's
over.
too big for this. she's the Scarlet Witch, Joe. She's got better things to do.
Oh my god.
She's saving the universe.
Well, all right. I think that about does it. Nothing else of note that I can think of anyway. Oh, Netflix is going to redesign their website for whatever reason.
Whatever.
I don't know why.
I don't know why either. I mean, I use the app on my PlayStation.
I've always maintained it's a perfect app. Like, it does you everything you need to know. It's easy to use. It's simple.
Yeah.
And now they're probably just going to overcomplicate it.
See, here's the thing. No, they said they're redesigning their website, right? Mm-hmm. So what does that have to do with the app? Like,
well, when I say app, I mean more so like the application, like just the UI, the user interface, basically.
Okay, because I know like there is Netflix.com. You can go on there, you log in, but I personally don't know anyone who does that, who actually like goes on their computer. Like, even people who watch Netflix on their just their computer, mm-hmm. There's an app. They just have the app. Like, I know both Microsoft and Apple have an app. So it's just sitting there on your desktop. You open the app and boom, there it is. Mm-hmm. I don't know anyone who goes on the website.
I mean, the app is pretty close to what you find on the website. Maybe not exactly, but it's pretty close.
I don't know. Again, never use the website. Just use the app. It's a beautiful app, though.
Yeah. Well, let's get mad, Andy.
Let's get mad?
Let's get mad.
Let's get to it. All right.
Do you want to tell them real quick what your stipulation for today's show was in the?
Oh yes, if you all notice on the table here, if you've ever watched one of our 3 episodes, you notice that Joe and I usually have notes.
Our long storied history.
Our long storied history, yes. We usually have some notes. Like, we'll have pens, pads, mm-hmm. whatnot. Mm-hmm. And we usually, beforehand, we will, we'll talk about what, general, what we're going to talk about on the show and whatnot. Of course, we came in knowing we were going to talk about Mad Men and Mad Max, but no prep work was done. Nothing. There are no notes. It's just in the madness. I'm not wearing sleeves. Madness continues.
Which is horrible because I have a piss poor memory and I need little bullet points in front of me. So this show just might be my worst.
No.
And all of my
well, in case you have noticed, they all just get progressively worse. Or better, depending on how you look at it.
I maintain that episode 2 of this here post-credit podcast was our finest hour. Our finest hour, yes. I do like every time I recommend the show to somebody else.
You give them episode 2.
Start with episode 2. Skip the smacking of the lips. Yeah.
Just get in the middle, No one likes the heel ends of the bread. You get in the middle.
Yeah, it's all about the journey, right?
And
episode 2 is
sure, why
journey.
not?
That's what they say.
Why not? Okay,
Well,
so
Okay.
Mad Men.
Mad Men.
It's over.
It's done.
That's all there is. There
So-
isn't any more.
Just to kind of set the scene, I haven't seen the last episode,
I have.
and you have. I don't know about you. I was just fully invested in maybe like the first 2 seasons of Mad Men. It was, that was the time where I was thinking, okay, this show is genius. It's the best show on television, without a doubt. Nothing comes close. And then it just kind of, I don't know, it kind of got very comfortable with itself in terms of, the whole aura of, the Brill cream in the hair, the cheating businessmen, and the smoke, obviously the smoking of the cigarettes. I felt like the writers felt like all we need to do is just have them in each scene, be their cool selves.
It became a parody of itself.
Exactly. It became a parody of itself, and, people, because, I like to read a lot of reviews online of the shows, and people extrapolate these great points, like, and themes of the show. Like, for example, somebody said that the show is all about not having anything given to you. If you want something, you got to take it yourself. And that's great.
Yeah.
And yeah, sure, maybe you did see that in the show, but they didn't communicate that theme well enough or interestingly enough.
It's exactly like you said. How many seasons was it? Was it 8 and they split the 8th, or was it 7 they split the 7th? I lost count, to be honest.
It was 7. I don't have it.
It was 7 they split the 7th?
I don't know, Andy. I don't have the note in front of me.
That's right, you don't. But yeah. So whatever, I can't remember if it was 7 and they split 7, or if it was 8 and they split 8, whatever it was. Yeah, the first, I didn't get in on the ground floor of this show. I missed like the first 2.5 seasons, something like that.
Likewise.
Yeah. But my brother was the one who turned me on to. He's like, Andy, you gotta watch Mad Men. You gotta watch Mad Men.
7, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, so 7 they split 7th. Okay. So eventually he wore me down, and I watched a couple on Netflix. I'm like, oh my god, like this is great. Yeah. This is brilliant. And then I binged watched it and immediately caught up. I was like, fucking Don, Pete's an asshole. Roger.
and also too, the first 2 seasons, that was probably the last time Betty had me rooting for her. Like that was the last time I liked Betty before she came just a complete.
See, I never liked Betty. Never.
I didn't either, but the fact that Don,
yeah. Well, John Hamm playing
Don
Don Draper
was such a fucking asshole. It made me at least sympathize with her, even though she played the role very cold. It made me want to like cheer for her and uncovering his philandering. But I was like you, Netflix introduced me to it. Yeah,
and then it, so like I said, the first 2 seasons, 2.5, whatever, brilliant. And then, it kind of it plateaus a little bit, but it was still solid.
It was decent.
It was still solid. I think for me it was around season maybe mid season 4, something like that, 4 or 5. Somewhere around there, where it was just like, okay, I can see the decline.
It's hard to pinpoint it. It's hard to pinpoint it after, for me, just because, and this is probably the time that we live in with so many series. But I don't know.
If I had to put a pin on the spot, nail the point where I think the series really starts going down, the one that sticks out in my mind is the death of Lane, Jared Harris's character, when he hung himself. Like, because I really enjoyed his character.
And
like
I forgot
his end, like the whole way that thing played out, like with him with the money troubles, and then it was the thing that finally pushed him was, it was like Christmas bonus or something like that. Like he was really banking on that, and then like the whole company decided like, we're gonna forego the bonuses this year to do this, and like everyone else in the building loved it. But, he really needed the money, and he couldn't get it now, and so that's why he hung himself.
And he was an original partner, right? Not an original partner, but
he was a partner. He was a partner.
Yeah.
Because it became Sterling Cooper Draper Price,
right?
And he was Price. No, he was no wait. What was his name? What was his last name?
Lane Price.
Yeah, Lane Price. Yeah, I was about to say it was Lane Price, wasn't it? Yeah.
Right.
It's been a while for Lane. But yeah, I think if I had to like pinpoint a moment in time to when this show's decline, it was then, because he was quickly became one of my favorites on the show. Immediately, it was his character introduction.
He was easy to root for. He was smart. Obviously, he had the British accent, so that always makes you a little bit more likable. You know, I kind of measure. Don't get me wrong, characters are essential in a series, but I mean, I kind of measure by stories and arcs. And as soon as, for me anyway, like that kind of moment that you're putting on, you know, Lane's kind of downfall, I put it after the divorce. Like, to me, the show is most interesting when
Dawn and Betty divorced.
And they were married, and he was cheating on her. It may have been a little bit more melodramatic, but still, like, that's what I wanted to see from the show.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, they weren't, like, there was these big moments in the show that they just weren't earning in my eyes. Like, it felt like they just expected you to be invested into it, and they wrote their character arcs just so bare bones, and it just didn't hit home on the beats that it wanted to, or needed to, I should say. I mean, there was only a couple of characters that, for a while, for at least a few seasons, that I was only they were the only reasons I was still watching the show, and then finally it just became too much.
Yeah, I just
turning it off.
I stopped caring. It's like it's pretty much exactly what you said. Like, in the beginning, in the first couple seasons. First 3 for sure. Like I cared. Like, okay, I want to know what's gonna happen to Donna. I want to know what's gonna happen to Roger. I want to know what's gonna happen to Betty, Pete, all of them. Like, but then just it's like you said, kind of became a parody of itself. Like, I stopped caring. Like, the only reason I still watch because I felt like, okay, I've made it this far. I need to see how this ends, just for this pure sake of morbid curiosity. And just like I wanted to just. Like I said, that's actually pretty much it. Just pure curiosity. Like, I didn't care what happened. Like you said, you didn't see the finale. But yeah, like, when that final episode, I'm like, okay, I don't care what happens to any of these people. I don't care if you die. I don't care if you die. I don't care if whoever, you go Canada, wherever the fuck, you know. I don't care. I just want to see what happens. Like, just end. And like, that was disappointing.
Yeah, and then the cast got humongous. And,
it really did kind of get out of control.
And the majority of that cast, you didn't give, you know, excuse my language, but you didn't give a hoot about.
Yeah.
You didn't give a gosh darn, okay? You know, you had all these minor characters, and it's like, you know, you as a viewer, all you want to see is, you know, just Dawn, you know, be horrible, and Roger be funny. And then even then they would write these crazy character changes that would make them not that would make them shy away kind of from the qualities that make you want to watch them in the first place.
Yeah, that's probably I never actually thought, but that's probably a good reason as to why the decline story. I think the cast that's a great point. Yeah, I think the cast may have gotten too large for who was it? Right, Matthew Weiner,
Weiner,
Matthew Weiner, whatever.
Yeah.
Matthew Weiner to handle. I think he couldn't. You know, I think he just had trouble balancing story arcs.
You know, there had to be something. I feel like I'm missing something just because. You know, I would read reviews on the show, and it still like would get constant praise. Like nobody would ever call that show out for like what it was. It was boring. It got boring.
It got real boring.
and people like to shit on the fact that, you know, oh well, you know, like something would happen. And I'm not talking about Mad Men. I'm talking about in shows in general. Like, people like to shy away from melodrama. Like, they think it's cheesy and corny and you know, an easy way out. And you might have some points if you say that, if you take that position. But again, it does kind of trigger the senses and make you want to watch and keeps you invested for those more poignant moments that, you know. My only example, and it'll be a quick one. I forget what was Betty's second husband called? What was his name?
Oh,
the congressman.
Yeah, congressman or senator, congressman, one of those.
Some politician guy.
Pompous ass. Oh god.
Well, while you
I really didn't care about that shit.
Yeah, well, why you think of the name? You know, he's such a hard ass, and he was tough with Betty. You know, and he kind of just became a character that fell to the wayside. But the second episode to last, because I did see everything but the last episode. You know, we find out Betty has cancer,
right?
And it's like all of a sudden that character makes sense, and he has this talk with the daughter, and they just cry, or no, he's crying. He cries like hard in front of, and that was such a good moment, and I'm glad because I did like that actor, and I liked how he portrayed the character, and even though he wasn't the biggest character, I felt like that was such a deserved Like, it made me feel something. It was such a deserved moment when when you just realize how much he loves Betty, and as much as it stupefies the mind, how somebody could love somebody that cold and just callous. They needed to have more arcs like that and more moments like that, and they didn't.
Not really, no.
Especially for the tone of the show. Like, it's a very serious show. It's supposed to be make you think, but I don't know.
And yeah, and just it's hard for me to even. It's honestly hard for me to put into words what happened to everyone, because like
me too.
It's almost like it's like you said. What's up?
Nothing. Go ahead.
No, it's fun. No. Okay, yeah, it's just everyone they stopped just being themselves. I just mean in terms of the characters on the show. It's like everyone just like it came to a grinding halt. Mm-hmm. And
or it just had weird like little arc or segments too. Like Roger just spent a whole episode tripping on acid or something.
Yeah,
like that.
It's like it. And oh my god, it stopped being about advertising. Oh my god, did it stop being about advertising?
Yeah, when did that ship sail?
Yeah. Oh man, they abandoned that ship.
Well, can you like the first 2 seasons? Remember how excited you were when when they would go in the board meeting and Don had a
they would have to go in the board meeting, like strategy and plot and shit like that, and like scheme like, okay, we gotta take these guys out to dinner,
Right.
This guy likes girls, let's get him some girls, like get this guy a car or whatever the fuck. Like that was cool.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be like the whole thing. That's why it's called Mad Men. It's like, because, it's like a play on ad men.
Right.
Here we are with these advertisers, and we're supposed to be seeing, like, this kind of seedy underbelly of how, like, advertising became this, huge thing to, like, what it is today. And that is what we got in the first couple seasons. And then that ship just sank.
One of these days, Andy, I'm going to have to collect my thoughts on this show just because it's so universally praised. But to me, there's just some things that are off about that thing.
There really are.
And I mean, much more than writing. Like, there was some questionable editing on that show. Did you ever watch, like, the show on TV? Like, on AMC instead of, like...
Yeah. Well, okay. I only watched it on Netflix when I was binge watching what I had missed.
Did you ever watch to the end of the episode and when they played the preview for the next...
You mean the most useless things ever?
That was stupefying how horribly cut those previews were. And to me, it was almost like a microcosm of what was happening on that show as a total.
I understand you don't want to give away the whole thing in the preview. I understand that. But literally, if you've ever seen the show, these previews are literally just characters literally just turn the camera. What are you doing here?
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, like move it to 5. Like what?
Jesus,
I know.
And again, they must be the same. They must have used the same editor because they would have also during the show, and this was during the show, and it would take me out of it. Coming from a kind of a filmy background, they would have these unnecessarily long just shots. Don would say something. Like, well, maybe I'll tell him next week, and then you'll just see him sitting down, and then he'll light a cigarette, and then puffing, and absolutely adding nothing to the story or plot or character development, And I don't know, it was just full of that kind of stuff, and nobody called it out on it ever. Nobody called the show out, and I have to do it one time.
Well, Mad Men, we're calling you out.
PCP is calling you out, Mad Men.
Way to suck.
Yeah, good job.
Well, at least in the end, you suck, yeah. And they say it's not how you start something, it's how you end it. And that ended terribly. Now, so getting to the final episode, I know you haven't seen it, so I'm going to spoil it for you a bit.
That's fine. Yeah,
see, that's what I'm saying. Don't even care. That's how uninvested you are. He doesn't give a shit.
And unless you know me or have been somewhat following the show, I am very anti-spoiler. You know me.
We try, yeah.
Yeah, I hate spoiling for others, and I hate stuff getting spoiled for me, but I mean that's just a testament to how much the show is.
So the way it ends is let me see. I mean, obviously, let me remember. Okay, so I'll kind of break it down character by character. What happens? So Pete gets everything he wants.
Really?
Pete is getting Allison. He gets Allison Brie back. Sure. Like, even though we don't show it, he gets her to agree to move to Kansas with him. Like, so he's getting his family back. He's getting a great new position, new job, because that's why he's moving to Kansas. Mm-hmm. So Pete gets everything. Pete wins.
Pete wins.
Pete wins. Sterling marries Megan's mom. What's her name? Obviously she's French.
He marries
Megan's mom.
Oh wow!
He married Megan's mom. I can't remember.
So
her name.
He destroyed her marriage and then married her.
Well, no. Well, yeah, pretty much. But I mean, like, you know, the whole thing was she had always been bitching about her husband. You know, she's like, I'm gonna leave his ass one day. Well, you know.
Yeah.
So that happened. I can't remember his name. What's the name of Peggy and the bearded guy with the kind of longish hair? What's his name?
Hold on. I'm looking
I can't remember the character's
name. Go on, keep going, and I'll tell you.
They found each other. They're in love.
Really? So they're together?
They're together.
Wow.
Completely, in my eyes, completely unjustified.
Oh, that was not paid off at all.
No, not at all. Don't get me wrong. They had been hinting at it, because, you know, they always have a little back and forth kind of things. Like, they had hinted at it, but in my opinion, it wasn't justified at all. You have to earn that. Like, you have to
exactly.
You gotta. Yeah, because I mean, like, they never hung out. Like, every scene between them is like in the office or whatever. You never see them going out to dinner, like even hint at making plans or whatever. They just have this office repertoire. I mean, not repertoire, repartee.
Yeah,
that's the word. You know, back and forth. And yeah, so but like, and it's so stupid the way they get together too. It's so dumb. Like, she's calling him, like, he's in his office, literally across the hallway or building or whatever the fuck. Mm-hmm. And she calls him, and they just like have this little talk, and it just starts getting real emotional. Like, he just goes for it. He's like, it's because I love you. Da, da, da. And she's like,
what?
Yeah, seriously. And like, at first, Peggy's like, what? You love me? Like, she's like, well, that's weird. And then like, she starts breaking down. It's like, well, let's see. We talk all the time. I like talking to you. Oh my God, I think I love you. Literally, she said that. She said those words. She said the words, "Oh my God, I think I love you," and at that point,
like a Deus ex machina of love arcs.
And then, so of course, he runs into her office and they make out. So there's that.
I'm so mad I couldn't even get that phrase out.
Betty, they don't show her die. Obviously, you know, Betty.
But she did die.
Yeah, like they just show her she's just kind of weak and sick in bed.
Oh, they showed cancer Betty?
No, not at all. She's not like thin or ghoulish looking or anything like that or whatever. She's just like you just see her in bed, like she tries to like sit up in bed. She's just weak. That's all.
Yeah. Okay.
There's that.
I can't find his name, by the way.
Her kids, Betty's kids. I can't remember because I don't give a shit what their names are.
Yeah, what happened to the daughter? I hated the daughter.
The daughter assumes like she you can see her take on more of a mom role for her brother. Oh, excuse me.
Okay.
It's like what you see is like she comes home, like, because, you know, she's away at boarding school or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And like she comes home and she starts taking care of her little brother. She's like, you know, like, okay, I'll help you clean up and make you a sandwich. Mm-hmm. And that's it. So I guess, like, you know, she's stepping up a little bit there, whatever. Again, didn't give a fuck.
Kind of, yeah, I was going to say kind of taking the... Stan. Stan was
That's his name?
Man. Yeah. I didn't recognize him because in his IMDb picture he doesn't have a beard.
But yeah, so Stan.
Oh, God,
yeah.
I don't think I can recover from that. We might have to quit this episode right now. That might be the worst piece of writing I've ever fucking heard for a critically acclaimed show.
And then
Deus Ex Machina.
And then Dawn. Let me tell you about Dawn.
Mm-hmm. Now, just right before you start, this had been a fan theory for about 3 weeks now. Mm-hmm. It had kind of spread that it was going in this direction, and I'm disappointed to hear that it did.
The love story?
Well, no. The was there a love story?
No, I'm saying, what theory are you talking about?
The final advertisement from Dawn.
Oh, yes. So let me set you up on Dawn. So obviously you've seen everything but the last episode.
Yeah.
So as you remember, Dawn gets up and walks out of that meeting, and he just kind of goes on like a soul searching kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So he ends up in a hippie commune in California with what's that chick's name? I can't remember her name. The actress. What's the actress? Who's the actress? Hold on. You still have the thing up? Yeah, hang on. Oh my God, she's been in a few things.
Wait, from what? Give me some context.
She's the hippie chick from the show. She's been in the show before.
Is it his like quote unquote little sister, or is it his hippie lover?
Hippie lover, I think. She's blonde. I'm trying to think of the actress's real name. I think she's Remember the time like Dawn and Sterling she was in like a cult or whatever, and Dawn and Sterling tried to bring her home from it, something like that.
No, I remember they tried to do that with a daughter.
She's okay. I can't remember her real name, but she's she's Sarah Lance in Arrow.
I don't watch Arrow.
You don't watch Arrow? Okay,
No.
hold on. God damn, it's gonna annoy me. You don't have it up there? Go bring up Arrow real quick.
Okay.
Just go IMDb Arrow.
Okay,
God,
so continue.
Well, anyways, yeah, I can't remember her name right now. But yeah, so Dawn ends up with her in a hippie commune in California.
Okay.
And so,
wait, hold on. Was it the one that came to him pregnant, and Jessica Paré was like she sent her away?
Yes.
That one. Okay.
Yeah.
They never did it though.
Did what? Yeah, her and Dawn?
They never had like a romantic relationship.
No.
Yeah.
I thought. Wait, they didn't?
No,
They didn't hook up
never
once?
did. No, unless they did in the last episode.
No.
Oh, okay.
I thought they did though.
No, they didn't.
Don did hook up with a hippie chick at one point, didn't he?
That's the one I was trying to clarify.
I thought
because in
was
season
her.
1 he was like his side bitch was like that hippie painter girl
I don't
who ended up
remember
like going on drugs. I think it was.
What's the actress name though?
What's
Not
her?
her. Sarah Lance in the show.
Sarah Lance?
She's Sarah Lance.
Cupid, Amanda Waller.
Go to the.
They cast Amanda Waller in Arrow?
Yeah.
Oh wow. I'll go to the page then.
Bear with us, folks.
Oh yeah, this is great
really-
podcasting, by the way.
Yeah, no, go down. Those are directors.
Oh.
Keep going.
There we
Here we go. Felicity, Thea, Queen.
Sarah,
yeah. Katie Lotz.
Katie
Lotz. There you go.
she's
Yeah.
pretty.
Yeah, that's who Don ends up with in the final episode. Not romantically. That's just where he is. Like, he's in a hippie commune with her.
What are they doing?
Don is just like finding himself. Like
Tripping on acid,
Don,
then?
as you know, Don's going on like this soul searching / bender, as you recall.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so again, through just through his travels, that's where he ends up. And so,
Does anything happen in the last episode to reveal that he was a deserter?
no.
God damn that show.
But so anyway, so he ends up in a hippie commune with her, and so he's staying with her. So he kind of because he's staying with her, he has to go through all their daily activities, like meditation and prayer and like group therapy kind of shit and whatnot. And there's this one scene where Dawn is listening to this random guy bare his soul and break down, and it gets to Dawn because he relates to it. It's kind of like this guy's talking about being a father and yada 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 and all that kind of shit. And I think he was in the war, and I don't remember fully, but yeah, Dawn breaks down and Dawn's hugging this random stranger, crying his eyes out.
How is John Hamm's acting with crying? Because he's not a crier.
He's not, but it was okay.
Was it believable?
Sorta.
One critique. I was gonna say one critique of John Hamm, and and don't get me wrong, he's a great actor. He just, for me, he fails to deliver on those emotional beats that he should. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's poor directing or if that's just his decision. I mean, he's the boss on that show. Any which way. So I feel like he has trouble hitting the emotional
kind
beats.
of. I don't know. He's okay in my opinion. But anyways, so yeah, so he's breaking down, crying with this dude, and then so the final scene of the show, this is how it ends. Mm-hmm. Is Dawn is sitting out on this grassy hilltop with all these hippies in a flower shirt, a button flower shirt and jeans, meditating, just and he's got this serene, peaceful look on his face. And just his eyes are closed. He's and then the screen fades to black. And then what comes back on, it fades in, is the famous Coke campaign. I'd like to buy the world a Coke and sit with it a while. Mm-hmm. So even though they never expressly say it, what I took away from that is that Dawn took all this stuff. He found this peace and serenity and tranquility, and just took it all and sold it to Madison Avenue.
So he found inner peace and sold it for a dime.
In the end, he's just a bastard. He's the bastard he's always been.
Okay, so now the show intentionally wrote him to be a bastard, like to kind of whore out that serenity, quote unquote serenity that he found. Or are you just
no? That's my critique of it, because the whole series.
See, that would have been better though.
Yeah,
that would have been better if it was intentionally written to you think he's really turned this corner and he's become more spiritual.
No, you did. That was the way it was set up. Like, you were supposed to think like that. Dawn had actually he was like, this is him now. He's gonna be that's his ending. Like, he's gonna be this this spiritual person. He's given up his materialistic life. But then, like I said, even though they never explicitly show it, when you see that ad come on, you're supposed to, at least what I took away from it, you're supposed to infer that Dawn took everything he learned there and still sold out in the end.
That's better then. That's way better. Because I for a second I thought you were talking about he was still, I don't know. I thought for a second that that wasn't part of the character development. But since it was, then that makes it slightly less worse.
But still, I didn't care.
Yeah, well,
because here's the other thing. Here's something I forget who said it, but my brother who originally brought the show to me, brought something to my attention that someone said, and this is true if you look at it. Because the happy endings for the show, like I said, Pete getting everything he wants, Roger getting married, Dawn finding happiness. All that good stuff. That all is thrown at you in the final 5 minutes of the episode. Before that, it looks like everyone is going to have a terrible night. Because Dawn's miserable in this hippie commune place. Pete's family's still falling apart. Roger and Megan's mom are, on rocky terms. Roger's still an alcoholic womanizer and all that shit. Joan's doing coke.
Oh, Joan's doing coke?
Joan tried coke. She was with, what's his face? Who's the guy? The actor. He was in Star Trek. In Star Trek 1, the new Star Trek, what's his name? Commander Pike. He played Commander Pike. What's the actor's name? What's the actor's name? Is it Chris something? No.
that's Chris Pine.
Yeah.
I forget his name, but I'll pull it up.
Anyway, so he was in Mad Men, the final couple episodes. So Joan's with him, and they're in Florida, enjoying life. And he pulls out some coke. He pulls out a little baggie of coke, and him and Joan do coke.
Just peacefully doing coke.
Doing coke in Florida. And so they're Joan does coke, and she snorts a bit. She does a bump. And she's oh my god, I can feel that instantly. And she has all this energy, and Joan starts her own casting kind of thing.
Like a
PR
casting
kind
company?
Of thing. Yeah.
Marketing kind of
PR kind of thing. I don't know exactly. They never made explicitly sure. I mean, they made explicit what it was, but she started her own business.
And that's how it ends for
That's how it ends for Joan, yeah. Joan starts her own business. So yeah, like I said, but if you take away the final 5 minutes of the episode, everyone ends on a miserable note. Joan's in Florida doing coke. Dawn's miserable in California. Pete's family's falling apart. Roger's, miserable drunk. Peggy's miserable at her new job.
It just sounds like one big Deus Ex Machina.
Oh, it was.
Character.
Everybody.
And that is the one
again, you haven't
unforgivable sin you can do.
Oh yeah.
In
no, again, you haven't seen it, but I guarantee if you watch, you'd be like, "What the fuck?"
Bruce Greenwood, by the way.
Bruce Greenwood.
I never would have got that.
Apologies for not remembering your name. You're a fantastic actor.
He's in everything.
He's in a lot of things.
And it's weird to not
He's in a lot of things. He did a voice for Batman a couple times.
Did he?
He's been Batman a few times.
Yeah.
Solid showing, too.
I was going to say, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
No, he did good.
He sounds like he would have a good timbre.
He did a good Batman.
Well, that just speaks and highlights, I think, what we've been saying today about Mad Men is that, now, obviously, I don't work in television. I don't have a single credit to my name. All I have is my, 20 X amount of years of viewing television and consuming media. So I can only speak to what, compare it respectively to what I've seen. And I can't think of a better word for this right now, but honestly, it comes across as a little lazy.
Yep.
It comes across as
it's lazy writing.
Poorly written. And I don't know if... I know Weiner was writing it at first. I don't know if he was writing...
Yeah, I don't know.
Towards the end.
Again, I don't know what happened.
But yeah, I mean, you gotta... And for such a dominant show like Mad Men was, right? Because it was like almost every year it would win Best Drama for like
it won awards. It definitely won awards.
I just can't, and it almost makes me more annoyed and peeved that, you know, amidst all of these things that I read online, that nobody mentions that. No, I mean, obviously you have your haters, but they're hating on stuff that it's like, okay, that's beside the point. Like taking a serious critical approach to the show, especially for, again, like I keep saying, for something so celebrated as Mad Men. I mean, how are people writing these reviews of it and talking the show up okay with all of this? Just
I don't know, man.
I mean, I sound like an old man wagging my finger
but
at
still,
it. But I honestly, the show...
I'm right there with you.
Like, if you asked me, like if somebody told me, oh, well, you know, Mad Men is right up there with Breaking Bad and you know, all of... and okay.
If someone told me Mad Men was up there with Breaking Bad, I'd punch them.
Yeah.
Because that is bullshit.
Well, you're right, and I'm trying to think of other shows, you know, that and it's a certain kind of show, right? Like you could like, I love The Shield, but it never got anywhere near the critical reception like something Mad Men has gotten. So I'll just use Breaking Bad for now, but yeah, I mean, it's not even in the same class to me.
No, not even close.
Breaking Bad was compelling television.
Oh, hell yeah!
Like, you had to watch every episode. When it aired. Like, there was no wait, I'll take 7 months off and wait for it to come on Netflix. No, I mean, you had to be there every Sunday at, you know, 7 or whatever it was.
You're goddamn right you did.
yeah, because he is the one who knocks. Well, all right. So what else do you want to say about this Mad Men? I feel bad because I've just been bashing it.
Okay, so let's finish it. Let's finish it in two ways.
Okay.
All right. So obviously you haven't seen the last episode.
Right.
But so let's finish in a positive light. What was your favorite moment from the series that you can remember?
Easy. Immediately comes to my head. It was over the course of one season, and how many episodes did they do a season? Like 15 or something?
Something like that. Somewhere 13, 15, something
we'll
like
call
that,
it 15 just for the sake. So you had a one season and 14 episode build up to Dawn's philandering under Betty's nose. And Betty would get hints of it, and then she'd be okay with it, and then she'd like catch him practically red-handed and still not do anything about it because she was so weak-willed, I guess, is how they were writing. But then she started getting confidence. She started, you know, putting her foot down, and then it was the last episode, or I don't know, it might have been the penultimate, the one before the last, where she finds out he's cheating, catches him, nails him for it. I don't know if she had cheated on him by then, but they just have this huge argument, and they're just yelling obscenities at each other. It's get the hell out of my house. Like, we're done
going
here.
Down.
Yeah, exactly. And that was, to me, the peak of Mad Men. And then they just went away from interesting storylines like that. And again, I know it's melodrama. It might be a little junk food. Excuse me for the brain, but you know, what do you want? Like, that's... Yeah. You can take stuff like that. You can take junk food like that and build something meaningful.
Well, yeah, because they earned that.
Exactly.
Yeah, like you said, like they built that up and they earned that moment.
It's all about
which is the same for me. My favorite moment, my favorite moment easily, and this to me is one of the greatest moments in all of television.
I think I know.
Yeah, I've said this before. Yeah. I love this that much.
The greatest moment in television.
Not the greatest. One of the greatest was the fight between Lane and Pete. Oh my God, did I love that. Yeah. Oh my God.
You know why? Because you hated Pete so much. Or everybody hated Pete so much. Hated Pete. And everybody loved Lane.
He was this pompous little arrogant prick. And there he is, like, you know, Lane had been like this, you know, like he literally was the British guy, but you know, so like I was gonna say he's like the British guy of the group, but he is like, but you know, when I say the British guy, I mean like the sophisticated one in the group, like he had manners, you know, like he had a family, he was good to his family,
he was a gentleman.
He was a British gentleman,
gentleman,
and you know, like he was never arrogant or anything like that too much.
Because there was no nobility in being superior to a fellow man. It's a Kingsman quote. Sorry, go ahead.
We'll get to that later. But so then you know you have this, and the episode comes around where it's finally like Lane gets a chance to shine. Like he has a chance to close a big account because the person on the other end is someone he has history with, a friend of his. So Lane's like, you know what? Hey, I can step up and really do something for the company. I can use a personal connection I have and whatnot. And then that snake in the grass, Pete, just comes in and snakes his way in and takes it from Lane. And he just takes it from him. And then they're in that boardroom. Everyone's in the boardroom. Lane, Pete, Don, Sterling, and what was the old guy's name? Oh man!
Wow,
we're just blanking on names today, or at least I am. What was the other one's name? Oh man!
I'll look it up. Just continue.
Anyways, yeah. Like they're all in the boardroom, and like Lane, like everyone's already in there, and Lane comes in through the door. He's just yelling at Pete, and then Pete calls him a homo.
Really?
Well, no, it was because in a roundabout way, he said because remember Pete took. The way it happened, it was I loved it too. Is Lane was out to dinner with him, Pete, and then Lane's friend, and then Pete took Lane's friend to a whorehouse, pretty much. Right. And the guy got busted by his wife. And he's like, what happened? And so Pete was like, how did that happen? And Lane tells it because he had bubble gum on his pubes. Because he got blown in the gum and he was drunk. And, he didn't realize the gum and his wife caught that.
That's right. Yeah.
And then Pete was telling him why he just asked him. And Pete's like, it's because he thinks you're a homo. And so right. Pete, like I said, Pete basically called him a homo, and then Lane was like, "That'll be enough of that." And he stands up and takes off his jacket. He's like, "We're going to address that right now." I'm like, "Yes." And then it's happy. Like Pete's standing, like Pete's looking around, like what? And then Pete's like, then obviously Sterling, Cooper, and the other guy. Did you look up his name by the way? Whatever.
Yes, Cooper.
Cooper, yeah, Cooper.
It was not a fucking name.
I know. I forgot he was Cooper though for some reason. Anyways, so Don, Cooper, and Sterling are all there, just like kind of like. And so Pete's like, okay, fine. You want to fight? Okay. And it's like they're standing up, taking off the jackets, roll up their sleeves, and Sterling stands up and delivers the best line of the whole thing. He's like, I know cooler heads should prevail, but am I the only one who wants to see this?
Right, yes, yeah.
And so and so Don closes the curtains and locks the door. Yeah. And the three of them just stand back and let Lane and Pete beat the shit out of each other. Yeah. And it was beautiful. Oh my God.
And Lane won that, right?
Lane won.
Yeah.
Lane won.
Yeah, he should have won.
He decks Pete and then he says, consider that my last piece of advice. And walks away.
Badass.
I was like, yes.
Badass.
It was the whole thing, the setup, the way it played out was beautiful.
Yeah, that was good.
Beautiful.
That was definitely good. That was.
It's too bad there wasn't more moments like that in the show.
Well, yeah, of course. So they kill him 3 episodes later.
Yep, hangs himself.
Which was out of nowhere, by the way. Like the show got weirdly dark.
I mean, yeah,
like it's an adult show, but it doesn't go that dark.
I mean, he was having financial problems, but it never crossed my mind. Like, okay, he's gonna kill himself, but shit.
Yeah. And they and they showed him.
If anything, I thought they were gonna he was gonna really, really embezzle some money from the company. He would go to jail. Like that's the worst I thought. I'm like, damn, killed himself.
Yeah.
But so final thing on the show, Joe. Obviously, again, you haven't seen the last episode, but if you had to grade the show, what would you give it?
I'd give it a soft 7, and that's being generous. I feel like.
Yeah, I'm running the same way.
Maybe realistically.
Somewhere between 6 and 7, like 6, 8, 6, 7, something like that, maybe. Because those first couple seasons were really good.
Yeah.
But then just the way it ended, man, that hurts.
You know what? No, I'm not gonna placate to the hype. It's for me, it's like a 6.5.
Yeah, I'm like I said, somewhere between 6 and 7.
And without those first 2 seasons, it's like a 4 or 5. It's like a 5.
I can see that.
Yeah. So. Well, we'll see what's next for Wiener. He's probably going to do something similar. I'm sure he's got some other shows on his mind that he wants to do. Maybe he'll hook up with.
Maybe he'll go to movies. I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever.
John Hamm again.
Anyway, so that's Mad Men. Moving on from Mad Men to just one mad guy.
To just a mad man.
Just Mad Man. Mad Max.
If you will. Mad Max.
So we saw Mad Max.
We did see Mad Max.
What'd you think?
Oh, it was great. It was fantastic.
I wouldn't say great. It was definitely good.
No, you'd be wrong.
You and our third friend we saw it with, who we will never mention his name on this show.
We only mention his name when we badmouth him.
Yeah.
Pussy Matt.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Look, okay. It wasn't the deepest intellectual movie. I will give you that.
None of the Mad Max movies are.
They're not supposed to be though.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you take it for what it was, in the same vein as say an Avengers, kind of something to go turn your mind off to, it was spectacular. It was probably the best action movie since whatever the. What was the last good action movie that we saw?
You count the Avengers?
Yeah, the Avengers, but non-superhero.
Yeah.
Kingsman. That's a good call. Yes, it was probably the best movie since Kingsman.
Kingsman is actually. I'm not even sure you can call Kingsman an action. Spy thriller.
It's action.
You call it?
It's action.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't count the Avengers, and not because I think it sucked or anything. I just think it was better just because the market is so saturated with superhero movies now that I just put them into their own category, and I don't technically count them in terms of best this or greatest that. But I will say, let me just say, so Mad Max, it had great shots.
Oh, it was beautiful visual.
Okay, I'm glad you agree with that because to me that was a big thing for me.
No, visually great.
Yeah,
everything was great.
Like the shot of him coming out of the sand, it really in slow motion was great. The whatever that was, the sandstorm.
Oh yeah, that sandstorm kind of weird thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing. Like the wide shot of them going into this.
Actually, everything visual about the show. Everything, costumes
were great.
Locations.
Yeah.
Just everything. The way it was shot, angles, loved it all. That was visually great.
To me, a really big thing was the world building. They had a great, and again, I didn't rewatch the original Mad Max, so I can't compare like details. But I mean, this one was just amazing. Like they had all of these rules for the apocalyptic world. Like they did the genre of dystopia great.
Well, that's an established thing in Mad Max.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the original three, like they get progressively worse. I mean, when I say no. Sorry, what I mean is the world in which Max lives gets progressively worse.
Oh, okay. Well, I understand that that's the world. But just and I guess now I will have to rewatch one or two of them of the previous ones just because I want to compare how well that world was communicated to the audience. Because I can't. There so many details in this Mad Max and Fury Road that I can't even remember all of them right now. Like the fact that they're breastfeeding to get the milk. They keep all the women are pristine in the movie. Well, except for Charlize Theron.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, if you're not gonna get that kind of stuff from the originals because the originals are just so old. Yeah, is the thing. And technology.
Are they a little dated? I feel like they're dated.
They're a little dated. They're a little bit. It's just because my personal theory of it is just because they are so old. Technology wasn't what it was back then. So yeah, if you watch the first one, which I still hold is the best one. I still hold of the four Mad Max. I think it is still the best.
I think that's a common.
Just if you look at because it is still this dystopian world. But I mean, if you actually just look at the world, it really just looks like if the world as it did back then, and you just took the people out. Like the buildings weren't crumbling, Oh, okay. And everything was the streets weren't flooded or on fire or anything like that. It literally just looked like just one day everyone just disappeared.
Well, see,
that's how it looks.
I'm glad you told me that because to me that is a clear advantage over the first one because.
Well, yeah, because obviously now, like I said, now it's a different time than when that one was shot. And plus, the first one, I'm not entirely sure, but I think the first one wasn't that didn't have that big of a budget. Like
really,
I don't Mel Gibson wasn't this huge superstar he was. He
wasn't Mel Gibson.
Yeah, he wasn't Mel Gibson yet. I think he may have been on the cusp.
Yeah.
Maybe, but he wasn't, Mel Gibson yet. There's no one else in that movie, literally. There's no one else. Mel Gibson, and that's it. And
well, I'm glad you point that out then, because then that is a huge.
Yeah.
Then I won't damn the first movie because of that.
I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure.
Because budget would account for a lot. Because this movie did. You can tell. I don't know how much they made it for, but you can tell they had some change to spend.
Yeah. There's really not. Every special effect in the first one is absolutely practical.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing
CGI
too over the top or
or
anything like that. Yeah.
Maybe
And
there's
so
no
yeah, but I mean, the other thing is, like I said, like in the first one, it literally just looks like the world as it did back then, just with no people. So I mean, I'm okay with the way. And like you watch the second two, the world does get progressively worse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, obviously the first one had some success, so they got a bigger budget, I'm assuming,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what led to better, you know,
Production value.
Production value, yes. Sorry. Yeah, I'm just slipping on names and everything today.
I tell you,
Words are escaping me.
Take the notes away, and we're worthless, Andy. We're
kind of worthless with the notes, but yeah.
That's true.
But yeah, so yeah, like I said, so each one does get progressively worse. But I mean, this new one, oh my god, like this is what you like watching the first two. Like, this is the world you want. Because like the first three, you see
totally.
as you see it, like because the world changes with Max. And you think about it, because in the first one, he starts off, he's the majority of the movie, he's a sane normal guy. But then like his world comes around, he gets more and more mad, and by the end of it, like he's driving onto something, you know, with that look in his eye. And the next one comes back, world's a little worse. Third one, world's even worse. He's crazy. Now we got this fourth one where it's just fucking on.
Yeah. Like the world itself, to me, it amplified everything else. You know, Tom Hardy didn't necessarily put on, not to say that his performance was by any stretch of the imagination bad, but I mean he didn't do anything necessarily over the top. It was a very nuanced, toned down performance.
Yeah.
But it was just so amplified, like everything, all of the things that were, you know, just right, just got taken up to here. And for podcast listeners, my hand is down and now it is up.
If you're on the video, you can see that hand. That's up there.
That's why you need to check out YouTube.
That's level changing, man.
So, and the actors they got were very good.
The main villain, Imoran Joe, is the original villain from the first one.
It is.
In the first, I mean, not the same character; it's the same actor.
It's
in
not
the first
same
one, his name was Toe Cutter, and he died. Max did kill him.
It's not the same.
But they brought
character,
back that actor.
But I was disappointed that it wasn't the same, because I thought that would have been such a cool thing to bring a villain back from 25 years.
I mean,
ago.
it would have been okay, but like you said, this was a sequel to the original three, and they killed that guy.
Yeah.
So I mean,
okay, so we were actually talking about this earlier. To me, there's two types of sequels. There's ones that continue the storyline, which I feel like should be. Those are, to me, true legitimate sequels. When a franchise decides to become episodic, you know, whatever it is, whether it's on TV or movies, to me, I don't know. It just doesn't feel quite.
Well, I mean, because it is all the Mad Max movies are episodic.
Yeah,
like it's never the same villain or story conflict and all. The only consistent thing is Max.
It's Max, right?
You know, it's just we're seeing this dystopian world through his eyes, pretty much. You know, his psycho eyes.
Right.
And yeah, but I mean, it is. The other thing is, he did. Here we go with the name blank again. Who wrote and directed these movies? Miller, George Miller. Yep. See, I recovered on that one. No, I got that one. But yeah, George Miller. He'd been trying to make this movie for 20 some odd years. Like this exact script. I mean, I'm sure he made some changes over time, but I mean, you know, he's been trying to make this movie for 25 years. He just got it done now. So I mean, If you had, you know, if this movie had been, you know, released and made when he wanted it to have been, I imagine it would have been something completely different.
Yeah, and from what I've read too, he has
at least visually,
he has a companion movie planned as well, a companion to this. And again, the franchise being episodic, I don't know how much of a companion it is, but this movie made money.
Oh yeah.
So we're probably going to see that thought come to life.
And got the video game coming.
Do they?
Yeah. Oh, the video game looks fucking great.
Does it?
Oh yeah. Oh man,
sounds like a horrible idea.
I mean, obviously I haven't played it yet, so I don't know. But oh my god, everything I've seen of it, it looks fucking amazing.
What'd you think of Furiosa being the protagonist?
Oh, it was fine. Yeah, for those of you who haven't seen it, Charlize Theron, whose character's name is Furiosa, she is the star of this movie. Like, she is the one moving the plot along. Like the whole thing, the whole movie is based around like her plot, her idea. Which is her. She's trying to sneak these women out of
slaves.
Yeah, these slave women out of the main villain Imoran Joe's like makeshift citadel thing. And yeah, and so Max is just there. Max is there by happenstance. Like he's just kind of there as like her muscle, if you will.
Yeah, the Han Solo to her Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like he's just kind of there. But yeah, in this movie, she is absolutely the protagonist, and she was fine.
I actually thought it was. And again, that was one of the decisions that, to me, elevated the movie from just a kind of run-of-the-mill action movie. You usually don't see the title character being, taking a backseat to one that's on the undercard. Now, in this case, it worked out mainly because it's Charlize Theron, and she's a great actress, and she can carry a movie because she essentially had to carry the movie.
Yeah, because I mean, Tom Hardy had like what? Maybe 3 pages worth of dialogue.
I was going to say he was really quiet throughout the majority of the movie. Again, he almost the title character kind of takes a backseat to the world around him.
He absolutely takes a backseat. Yeah,
to the world around him and the characters around him. So I thought that was ballsy, and it was a good calculated risk because again, you're working with a very good actress in Charlize Theron, and apparently, since you just told me that he's had this idea in his head for 20 some odd years, a very precisely executed idea. So again, it's these little decisions that you don't see, and you don't get to see the benefits from in your everyday action movies that are more, I don't know, disposable, I guess. So that being said, I hope we get to see another Mad Max sooner rather than later. Probably will, because I'm actually in now on Mad Max. I've become a Mad Max disciple because of this movie.
I'm pretty much still the same. So again, I enjoy them. Yeah, I don't. Like you said, you become a disciple. I'm not there. I'll see if they make another one. I'll see it for sure. Like this one was good. Like I had nothing. I had no major quarrels against it. Right? Just not head over heels in love with it.
Well, let's get into that for a quick second. Yeah. So, what kind of held you back?
Well, the lack of.
You said there was no story, right?
Yeah, the lack of story and story development. Because, so you have this. Like I said, you have Immortan Joe, the main villain. He is the despot leader of this, this Citadel City, whatever you want to call it. I would have liked to just known how. Like, how did this? Like, you don't need to flash back and show it or anything. Just one quick little story from Charlize Theron to Max. Max is asking how did this a-hole come into power? Someone asked. Just someone ask and tell the story. It's I just know how did this guy become who he is?
Did they not touch on that in the movie?
No. This is the first time.
Wasn't there something about him owning the water wells?
Because that was the thing. That was what put him in control, because he controlled the water. But still, how did he get to that point? Okay. Because he's just one guy. Obviously, in order to control all that water, you need help. Okay. So who was he that he started an army pretty much? Who was he that he talked to all these people and hey, help me take over this plot of land, so I'll control the water, you control the water, you control the people. Who is he to have done that? Okay, that's all. I would like to have known that.
And then you kind of had trouble with the lack of what's the word? Maybe continuity? No, not continuity, but just the lack of relationship between the first ones. Because I remember you saying you had a complaint about how you don't know what happened in the other movies just by seeing this one.
Yeah, that's another thing. There's nothing really that makes it a Mad Max movie other than the fact that there's Max in it. Because when you were first introduced to Tom Hardy, as Max in the thing, he's just some dude. You see him, he's just there in a beard. He's got a beard, crazy long hair and whatnot. You don't know what he's been doing or anything like that. They don't. Unless you've seen the first 3 movies, you have no idea that he's the same guy from the other one. They dropped some subtle visual hints. If you saw, the only time I really have visual of it is when Tom Hardy's when they capture him, they put him in that cage, or in the beginning before they start hooking him up, and he comes Nicholas Holt's blood bag. You see him in the cage. He has a knee brace because in the end of the first one, he gets shot in the knee, and so he's towards the end of the whole movie, he's limping. So that's where that comes from. But yeah, and obviously the jacket and
he also references that he was a cop in the movie.
Yeah, he references that and the icon. And of course he starts off in the iconic car, the Mad Max car. But yeah, there's nothing. There's nothing that really ties this universe together. Is the thing. I understand it's episodic. It's each movie is its own thing because nothing carries over except Max. But I believe the first. The first 2 sequels, did a better job of tying into each other than this one did. Now, maybe it's just because it was released so long ago.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Maybe it's because it took them 20 years. Like, obviously, if this would have come out earlier, like, closer to the one, it would be okay because like, sooner. You'd be able to more quickly make the connection. But yeah, it's just like if you just take someone who's never seen, which I bet you was a lot of people who've never seen the first three, and you just drop them into this, they just kind of like, who is this guy? What's his deal?
Well, okay, so just to touch on that real quick, because I want to get to one other thing before we close this out. It's become very fashionable, and maybe that's not the right word, but studios are very hesitant to take chances on new properties. They always, which I'm sure you and everybody else are aware of. That's why you're seeing all the sequels, prequels, and so forth.
Yeah.
And so I bet that this was sold on the fact that you don't need to see any of the other ones, like, because it's like
that's a good point.
Because it's a franchise again that started 20 some odd years ago, and you don't want. I'm sure
more than that now. It's like 40 or 50.
Yeah, 50.
Early 70s. So what is that? 30?
Not 50 years ago.
40? It's close.
50.
Like
years.
70.
Do they have?
Look it up real quick. The original one came out in like 73. It's 2015. That's like 40 some odd years. That's close to 50.
Okay. Well,
that's very close to 50.
So just based on name alone, you were gonna get the people that saw the original 3 in the theaters. But I think they're going after younger crowds because those.
Absolutely.
Those are the ones that are spending money.
Yeah.
So I think that's maybe why you saw more allusions to the first films instead of cold hard connections. So it's like their way of rebooting it without rebooting.
Yeah, I can see that.
Making it more okay. That's what I'm trying to say. They're making it more accessible to younger people today, so that they don't just see this and be like, I don't understand what's going on. Like I thought that was a very good move, and they did it very well. So the first one was 1979, so that is 30 years ago, a little under 40.
79. Okay, so a little later.
A little under 40 years ago. But you're right. That's a lot. That's a
Yeah.
lot less than what I thought. I can't believe 1990 was already like 25 years ago. That's awful. That's awful. Real quick before we close this out, I want to just touch on the fact that I like to read articles that have more to do with the dollars and cents and whether a movie was good or bad or not. I like to read articles that have social commentary related to movies, and a big one coming out of for this movie that got me really interested was the fact that men of all people were crying that this was a feminist movie, a pro-feminist movie, and that it unfairly portrayed men. Because
no.
because they are the unsung heroes and the minorities, right?
No. Okay, so I understand where the argument has come from, but that's an extreme look at it.
After seeing it,
that's way too extreme because it is true that maybe not every, but the majority of the women portrayed in the movie are the smart, strong ones,
right?
Like Charlize Theron, obviously the whole thing's her idea. The women she's sneaking out, like they've got like decent heads on their shoulders. They're not just like savages like every man we see.
And they're not helpless either.
Yeah, they're not helpless.
They get involved in the action scene.
I mean, that one there's like one who's like semi-helpless, but yeah, remember the one who like kind of wants to go back? He's like, we can go back. They'll take like she kind of quits on them.
Oh
a little
yeah.
But no, but like that's
the
not
Bill
even that
Paxton
bad.
Of the group.
That's not even that bad.
Game over, man.
And then of course, then you have the women. What was that group like? They meet at the end. Like remember they were trying to get to the green place.
Like the Navajos.
Yeah. Whatever that group of women was called. Yeah, like they were all again smart, sensible, strong women. Yeah,
very capable with guns.
Oh yeah, so yeah, like I said, the majority of the women were portrayed as smart, strong characters, while the men are savages
and inbreds apparently.
Yeah, inbred savages.
Yeah.
But like it's not like.
But see, that's the story. That's the world.
Yeah,
right?
It's
like men dominate the world because they're savages, and
that's the whole thing.
Right, and so they're the bad guys. But so what? Like,
who gives a shit? Newsflash: men are the bad guys in like 99.9% of all movies.
And it just to me, the Twitter rants were just so hilarious about these like. Basically victimizing the white man because they need more sympathy, right?
Yeah,
like oh, I can't believe the women have infiltrated a are action movies now.
Whatever.
It's like, calm down.
That's way too extreme. No, it's
down.
Dude, it's just a movie.
It's and don't get me wrong. Like some movies, sure, like I can understand gripes like that. Like obviously, Marvel has a huge problem with women.
Yeah, when the female characters are underwritten,
and it's not that they're doing it on purpose. It's just that their audiences are male.
Yeah, and I mean the comic book world knows that because if you go back and you read the comics, like the male parts are written better. So you know, like, you try and keep these movies as close to the comic material. Well, in the comics, the women parts aren't written well.
Right.
I mean, you know, they're not doing it intentionally. They're doing well. I mean, I take it back. They are doing it intentionally, but they're doing it because that's what's selling.
Exactly. That's what
they're not doing
it.
They're not doing it to degrade women.
No, absolutely
they are just
not.
doing it to make money.
Yeah. And just as I'm complaining about the men complaining about Mad Max, or superhero movies has the same, like, women, you know, crying, oh well, you know, the women parts are so weak and blah 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 blah. I'm like, well, you know what? Right now, that's how they are.
Yeah.
Maybe at some point, maybe one of the superheroes will really hit, but I mean.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
It's a male.
It's a male-dominated genre.
Exactly.
It is. Yeah, I mean, Black Widow is by no means weak.
No
one would call her character weak at all. She's absolutely one of the smarter people in the group. Like, she's very crafty and whatnot. But again, just because of popularity back in the 70s or whenever her character was written, you know, she's not the most popular. She's not She's not going to be as popular as Cap or Iron Man or even Thor or anything like that.
Yeah.
So obviously she takes a back seat to them.
Yeah, she has to.
Because I mean, again, that's just where the money is.
Yeah, and you know, filmmakers, they don't, at least smart ones, they don't make what's in their heart, right? The ones who do it for business and who do it as careers, just like when you're making a product for a demographic, you are making something for the people who pay you for that something.
Yeah, pretty much.
So there's no, ill intent or whatever like that. There's no, subliminal dig on a gender or race. It's like that's just what it is.
And the thing that's gonna be interesting, and we're a couple years away from it now. The one who may potentially bust the door for women superheroes is Wonder Woman. I mean, honestly, when you hear the words female superhero, I would imagine the first name that comes to your mind is Wonder Woman, who she will be appearing in Batman Superman. So we're gonna get her, and then of course she's going to get her own standalone movie, and that's gonna be the real test, in my opinion.
It'll be the test,
going to be to see if Hollywood's going to see if we can really get away with making a female superhero. And they don't get me wrong, they have attempted it before
many times.
It has been attempted, but let's face it, none of them have stuck.
They've failed,
and not even just like superhero movies. Just like female lead action movies.
Yeah.
There's some that have done okay, but there's never been one that's come close to a big male-driven one. Like you've had Lara Croft, Tomb Raider,
right?
Which were good in my opinion. Both movies.
They're okay.
And the Angelina movies, they're fine. They're good, but again, we're just saying they're okay.
Mila Jovovich was probably the last successful woman action star.
Oh yeah, Resident Evil
what's the
other one? Isn't there another? There's Resident Evil.
There's Fifth Element, but she wasn't really the star.
Yeah. No, Bruce Willis is the star of that.
Yeah.
But Resident Evil, Tomb Raider, Angelina Jolie kind of the star in Wanted, comic book movie. Remember her, James McAvoy?
No, she was.
But yeah,
she was. She probably had the biggest paycheck in that movie.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And and like I said, that movie's just okay. So like, Wonder Woman is going to be the test. Wonder Woman is going to be the big test because it's going to be coming off this momentum from Batman, Superman, all the DC Universe stuff, the Justice League coming. That's going to be the real test, in my opinion.
I think it will succeed, but just it won't do like historic numbers or anything like that. It'll be a nice
unless it's in terms of historic, it probably won't. But I'm going to be curious is to see if it can beat. I'm going to throw it out. I'm going to throw it with Thor. I'm going to put it up against Thor, like Thor 1 and Thor: The Dark World. I want to see how it does against that. That's going to be interesting.
That'll be a favorable match.
But back to our original point with the Mad Max feminism thing. Mad Max feminism, Mad Max. Yeah, no. It's not. First of all, there's no movie that can be made that unfairly portrays men. It can't be done.
I was crying. I was almost at the point of tears when I was reading this.
It can't be done. You look at the worst things ever done in the history of the world. There's a man at the helm of that show.
Oh yes, how can we forget?
I mean, I don't mean this in a sexist way at all, but they have the phrase "Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned."
Yes.
No, you show me anything a woman's done that comes close to the Holocaust, then we'll talk.
Yeah.
like Hitler, a man, Holocaust. Like, no, like
it's even stupid to get into just because of how ridiculous a statement that is. Like,
it really is. Like
the pride of the white man.
The men are the biggest assholes ever to have walked the earth ever.
It's ridiculous. And you know what? I'm not the biggest. I'm not the biggest. Like, to me, don't get me wrong. I'm all for women empowerment and everything.
Oh yeah, I'm with it.
I feel like though, and I was actually had this talk with one of my friends last night. At some point, feminism stopped being about female equality and started becoming about female superiority. And I feel like I have trained eyeballs to, whenever I see it, I can point it out. And that movie absolutely had nothing to do with the movement of feminism.
I don't think so. I mean,
I
didn't even see it as like, I just saw it as a movie, like a movie with a female protagonist. That's it. Like, I didn't see it as like a feminist statement or like even like trying to unjustly portray men. I was like, oh no, this is a good movie. That's all.
This is a negative about social media too. I mean, sometimes the littlest things get blown up just because we need something to talk about.
Well, yeah, the internet gives stupid people a megaphone.
Oh, I know. Oh, that's such a good way of putting it. And all of a sudden it becomes a national topic.
And not just a megaphone, an anonymous megaphone.
Yeah, and it becomes a national topic that people get into, and it almost validates the stupidity of the original state. And it gives credence to it, and it's horrible, and it needs to
it's not the best thing ever.
There needs to be some type of...
No, Mad Max is it's a good movie.
Yes.
It is a solid movie that has a female lead. Mm-hmm. That's all there is to it, in my opinion.
So, guys...
It's not intentionally trying to empower women or, devalue men or whatever. If you're a woman and you feel empowered by that, great.
Yeah.
I personally don't believe the movie was made with that intention, but if that's what you take from it, great.
Yeah. No. Men, whomever they are, the sensitive men, they need to stop with that.
Yeah. If you're a man and you see that movie as a threat,
you're
not a man.
You have some deep issues.
Yeah.
So stop acting like a woman. No. Well, anything more to say about Max de Mad?
Oh, one thing that I gotta talk about for a second: the Tom Hardy dubbed audio.
Oh yeah.
Getting back to his Bane days here.
Apparently, he's dubbing all his audio.
He's dubbed pretty much everything in that movie,
most of it.
The vast majority. I mean, I understand you gotta do for the first little bit because he's in that mask. Again. How many Bane jokes do you think he got on the set of that? Just from everyone, because everyone's got a mask in that, and then of course you got Bane on your set.
Yeah.
But while he's in that mask chained up in the beginning, obviously you got to dub that. I mean, actually you don't have to because the way that mask is not like the Bane mask where it's fully covering, like this. Mm-hmm. Like this one was kind of like a cage.
Go ahead, yeah.
Like that. For those of you watching, I'm making a cage around my face, but this is the Bane thing. Yeah. So like the dubbing was absolutely unnecessary.
It didn't need. No, that's too harsh for me.
I think it was. Like I don't think
because look, Tom Hardy chose to approach the role as a mumbler and somebody who talked under his breath.
Yeah.
And that's great. That's a very creative decision.
Yeah.
But I want to hear that. And yeah, I do agree with you that you can tell. Like I immediately, our friend didn't, but you and me immediately saw it was
punch you in the face.
Yeah. It just jumped out, and you know what? That's fine. That's fine because I think it helped me and it helped enhance Tom Hardy's performance.
But let me ask you this though. Again, he barely has any speaking lines in this movie.
Yeah.
What would you have thought if he had more dialogue? Think of it like Bane. Mm-hmm. Like that was one of the big criticisms of The Dark Knight Rises, Bane's voice throughout the whole thing. Imagine that amount of dialogue in this movie.
Yeah.
Do you think he'd be getting the same criticism he got for Batman?
So I think it wouldn't be the exact same, just because like you were talking about, the masks are different. The Bane mask was much more muffled, and even though they dubbed it, like it still wasn't. It still sounded like, I don't know. The Bane didn't sound 100% right to me. But here's the problem, and here's the difference between the two. Bane Bane was a talker.
Mm-hmm.
He liked to give these big speeches and stuff like that. So the more you do it, the more you kind of irritates you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, do you think if Mad Max had been more of a talker, do you think the movie would be getting the same kind of criticism that Dark Knight Rises got? Maybe not to that degree.
Have a point. Yeah, you might have a point actually.
Not to that degree, of course, because Batman is a much more well-known and beloved character.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like you can't. That's the thing. Like you can't fuck up a Batman where you're gonna get some serious slack because Batman is Batman. But I'm just saying, like, do you think the movie would be getting harsher criticism because it's sitting at like what 98 on Rotten?
Yeah. 98.
Like,
on Rotten.
98 on Rotten, and like it's getting like I said, 98 on Rotten. Like IGN, I think gave it like a high 8 or 9 on its reviews. Like Metacritic's got it like 8.7, something like that.
Yeah,
like it's getting great reviews. I mean, do you think it'd be still getting these great reviews if like I said, Bane level dialogue?
No.
I think it'd knock it down a few. I think obviously again not receiving the same criticism that he did for Dark Knight Rises because Batman's a whole different creature, but I think he'd be getting harsher criticism. The movie getting harsher criticism. I think it'd knock it down to the reviews would be like 10 points lower.
This is what I think. Damn, 10 points lower. This is what I think. Because the movie to me did. Now I don't know how much we agree on this, but to me the movie did damn near everything it wanted to do perfectly. And if you have something like that, if you give Max extended dialogue, then it just sticks out. Even though it's one thing in like 100 things that they did right, it just sticks out that much more. So I think you might have a point there where it would be more.
Don't get me wrong. The way Max was written was fine. Like he's. Like having like mumbling because all the trauma and everything he's been through. He's not much of a talker. That worked beautifully. But yeah, again, my point is, if he talked more, I think it'd be getting harsher criticism.
No, yeah, and I think I agree. Just because the rest of the movie was so damn good, you would notice it that much more, and kind of it would irk you that much more too.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Well,
yeah. So to sum up some of this episode. Mad Max good, Mad Men bad. There it is right there.
Well done, sir.
But so yeah, folks, we're back.
We are back.
So yeah, hopefully we'll be recording pretty much every Sunday now.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see, yeah. But yeah, so anything else you want to add before I wrap it up?
No, I think today we did a decent episode.
I think we did.
A fun episode, yeah, today. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 4 of the Post Credits Podcast. I, of course, am always your host, Andrew Francis. My co-host is always Joe, no last name given. Mm-hmm. Again, we record every Sunday. The video goes live as soon as we get it up. Audio much sooner. Audio available on iTunes, SoundCloud, Podomatic.com, looking into other places. Video, of course, goes up on. Video, of course, will go up on YouTube as soon as it gets rendered out and done all that.
Fucking do it.
Right? Yeah. Follow us on Twitter. I am at KingFranchise88. Still not on Twitter. You can follow the pod at PostCredPod. Mm-hmm. We're on Instagram, PostCredits Podcast. Mm-hmm. We're on Facebook, PostCredits Podcasts. On Facebook.com. Mm-hmm. I always fuck that one up. I always fuck up the Facebook one.
Why are you fucking Facebook, man?
Because fuck Facebook. MySpace.
Unless you go to Facebook, then not Facebook.
Yeah. Please support us. Yes. And yeah, that'll do it. So, until next week, we'll see you then. Drop the mics. And we're out. Way to not hit your computer this time.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, that went well.